Hello, sports fans. This is the Sellout Sports crew here with you, giving us our instant reaction from Game 2 of the NBA Finals. The Celtics taking a commanding 2-0 lead in the series and doing it on 10 of 39 from three-point land. An uncharacteristic performance from the Celtics in terms of that, but still plenty to get the win for them. And now the Celtics go back with a 2-0 lead to Dallas. But yeah, a lot to unpack there. We have an injury to Kristaps. We had a great game from Jrue Holiday. But yeah, basically, let's give opening takes. I'll pass it to you, Mike. What do you think? What's your takeaway after these first two games?
Yeah, definitely. Not too surprised with the outcome. I think it just boils down to the margin of error, or margin of error for the Mavs just being much less than with the Celtics to take this back to the Western Conference Finals. So again, this is why I thought the T-Wolves had a better chance. Just the role players just don't do enough for the Mavs. And tonight you get, after game one, we all came on here and said Luka's not going to have another night like that shooting wise. And he didn't. He dropped 32. He was the Luka that you would expect in the NBA Finals. He was his normal self, triple double, 11 assists, got other people involved. The Mavs hit more shots than they did in game one. But even when Luka was taking over early, the Celtics were right there. They weren't leading the game, but it was a one possession, two possession game. They were staying in it, like you said, despite shooting very poorly. And you just look at the role players, like 1 and 2 offensively, yeah, it goes to the Mavs. 3 through 8, it goes heavily in the Celtics' favor. My big takeaway late in the fourth quarter, about 3.5 minutes left, the Celtics game clinching play came on a play where none of the big three even touched the basketball. Kyrie has trouble getting it, past half court. There's an 8-second violation that's being threatened. He's forced to pass it up. Jrue Holiday and Derek White get a steal. They pass it back to one another, and they finally hit an open three to go up 13 with 3:34 left. So it just goes to show you the depth that the Celtics have. And even on a night where the Mavs, their superstar performance comes from Luka, I'm interested to hear the discourse of Kyrie Irving tomorrow. Didn't have a great night shooting, but I thought he was effective at points tonight. He was key in helping them stay afloat in the third quarter. But even when you get that, it's not enough to beat the Celtics on a night where Tatum doesn't drop 30, right? So yeah, that's my big takeaway from this one.
All right. And obviously, if you're not shooting that well, then it's going to come down to defensive performance. Jrue Holiday has been steady through these entire playoffs defensively, and he had another great night, and he was great offensively as well. But Parker, your thoughts on the Celtics defensively tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Jrue Holiday is definitely holding his own against Kyrie, but it's not just Jrue Holiday's defense that's shown up. Jason Tatum played really well on defense. Derek White, I mean, he had the game-sealing block. I think that was probably the second most important play in the game. And it really shut the door on the Mavs. Jaylen Brown has picked up Kyrie and Luka at times, and he's done a hell of a job there. They forced 8 turnovers from Luka tonight alone. They're not allowing Kyrie to really get going. He only scored 16 tonight, which you're going to need more than 16 from Kyrie to beat the Celtics, unless Luka's dropping 50 plus. You need more than 16 from Kyrie. They're just tenacious, and I think that's the biggest reason why they're up 2-0, and I think that's why this is going to be a pretty quick series too.
You didn't even mention Chris. Did you mention Kristaps? I missed it, but I mean, he's playing like a defensive player of the year winner right now.
Well, we're gonna.
No, you're right. I didn't bring up Kristaps.
I mean, yeah, we'll see if he's. I mean, we're recording this less than an hour after the game ended, so we're uncertain on his.
We're gonna have to circle back to what the Celtics look like with and without Kristaps for sure. But yeah, so the series is going back to Dallas with the Celtics up 2-0. You would, I guess one would expect, I think you would have expected a certain level of urgency even tonight. But now 2-0, I don't know, Jake, you think we're going to see anything different from the Mavericks the rest of the way?
The Dallas Mavericks, to me, are not going to be making any adjustments. I don't believe they think they can win any other way than Luka Doncic putting up some heroic performance where he goes for 40 plus or something, and Kyrie matches it with 20, 25, and they're going to live and die by that. I think that showed tonight when they, again, I think they kind of approach the game the same way, take JT out of the offense as much as possible and let the shooters shoot and see what happens and rotate. And fortunately for them, the Celtics came out abysmal, like we said, from three, and they didn't take advantage of it. They had opportunities to have a good lead early, and they bricked all their free throws. They shot horrible from the free throw early. And like we said last time, the Mavericks are not the more talented team in this series, so they need to be the dogs. They need to rebound harder. They need to be on the fast break harder, and they're just not bringing it. And I think they don't believe they can win, and that's why. And one thing I think that shows that is how aggressive the Celtics are being on the offensive boards. We feel like they're not going to beat us in transition, and especially early in the game, we're crashing four guys. And it felt like the Mavs were getting all their offense in transition early.
Yeah, hang on, offensive board. Yeah, 10 offensive boards for the Celtics, 10 to 9. But like you said, crashing early for sure. So a couple of things from me is like the Celtics are winning away. Like I got to eat some crow, right? Like when it comes to Jason Tatum, there were really only two possibilities in my head, and neither of them have come to fruition. It was either Tatum is lights out, Celtics win, or Tatum plays poorly, Celtics lose. Tatum has not played poorly, but he shot poorly, so he hasn't been the offensive superstar that we've thought he was, or that a lot of people thought he was. That being said, Tatum has made winning plays all over the place. 12 assists tonight, showing off excellent basketball IQ. And I'm gonna put this to you guys. I don't see the bitching to the refs, and so I feel like it's almost like a Mahomes thing for me, where it's like I swear to God he's more locked in because he's not complaining to the officials. And you guys can call me crazy on that, but again, Tatum not shooting well, but definitely contributing to winning. The Celtics, I said, I was on they live and die by the three. So if they don't shoot the three well, they're not going to win, especially against a team like the Mavs. That wasn't true tonight. So I have to admit being wrong on both of these takes. But tell me what you guys think about that. Like Tatum just locking in and doing what he needs to do instead of trying to draw contact and complaining to the officials. I actually think there's something to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jake's talked about it a decent amount. A lot of teams' adjustments these playoffs have been to show two bodies, even past the 3-point line. I remember one play in the third quarter tonight comes to mind. They showed two bodies just off of the block near the baseline, drawing that much attention, even when his shot's not falling, because they're still afraid of his fadeaway. And he makes the kick pass to the middle for a wide open two of many points from Jrue in the paint tonight. Just a wide open opportunity. He's not settling. Him and JB were both very aggressive at going to the cup tonight, which is kind of weird to say because again they still shot 39 threes. The narrative of live and die by the three, so they still put up their average, but when they weren't shooting the threes, they were going to the cup.
Well, obviously, Luka's 8 turnovers created extra possessions for them. 10 offensive rebounds creates extra possessions for them. But, yeah, definitely. And we got to talk about Jrue Holiday's night tonight. Obviously, usually the way he gets it done is his defensive presence. But tonight, he's 11 of 14, 2 of 4 from 3, ends up with 26 points, team high 26 points. 11 rebounds. Yeah, I didn't even catch that till now, but 11 rebounds for him too. I think I kind of alluded to this on the podcast too, but like this guy's such an upgrade over Marcus Smart. I know that you guys love him, and there's certain elements that I love about Marcus Smart, but I think he's such an upgrade. I don't know if it's just maturity or what it is, but I think he's such a steadying presence on this team. Jake, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say something I really love about Jrue Holiday on the offensive end, and I think we saw it tonight with why he had so much success is he never makes the wrong play. He's never forcing it on offense. And I think that's the biggest difference between him and Smart is Smart was constantly forcing a play, forcing a weird shot, forcing a hustle play. Jrue Holiday is always calm. He has a good pace, and he doesn't force the play.
Mike, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, I just keep on referring to plays. Game one, this one, I think Doris actually highlighted it. He was in the middle of the paint. The ball was on the left corner there. It starts to get driven in, and he rotates back out to the left corner. So he just has such a good feel for the spacing of the court, where it did seem at times Marcus had to with superstars, right? You get like 19 to 22 shots. You'll hear it a lot, like you take 4 or 5 bad shots for superstars because you get those other 15, 16 good looks, and it just, you reward them for their play. And Marcus Smart sometimes had those, and he wasn't necessarily a superstar. So you don't get those from Jrue.
Right. Parker, anything on Holiday?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows that he is the one player on this team that has the championship pedigree, which is why we brought him in. And it's paying dividends so far, and we're 2 games away from it paying the ultimate dividend and raising banner 18.
And it's just crazy to go back to I mean, we just keep on going back to the threes, but that really is the story of the game. The Celtics shot worse tonight from 3 than Dallas did in game 1. And we heard the whole time about how Dallas is going to hit those threes, which, yeah, shooting, I think they shot like 26, 27%. That's obviously well below the Mavs average, but the Celtics shot well below their average tonight. And we've heard, that's how the Celtics lose. They live and die by the 3, and they showed a lot tonight.
Yeah, let me ask you guys about that. On the other side of it, like we say, okay, Tatum's not having his best offensive game. He's not shooting that well, but he's helping them win in other ways. Kyrie, not so much. I mean, Kyrie's not known for his defense anyway, so he's not really helping them on the defensive side of the floor. I think he had 6 assists. 6 assists. So he's really not matching Tatum in that way, even though Tatum isn't shooting that well, and Kyrie's not shooting that well. He was 0 for 3 from 3. And I feel like he's going to have to hit some threes in order to space the floor a little bit too. But yeah, I don't know. Parker, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so in Kyrie's defense, he's not going to match Jason Tatum in those numbers because he's not the ball dominant player on his team, whereas Jason Tatum is for the Celtics. I mean, him getting 6 assists isn't anything to scoff at.
Okay, I mean, I'm not really going after Kyrie. I guess what I'm saying is when you aren't helping your team putting the ball in the basket, because 16 points isn't going to get it done for the Mavs. Like Kyrie's going to have to.
No, 100%.
I'm saying that if you go back to even the Thunder series,
it goes back to. Sorry, Tori. It goes back to the Mavs just needing. They need 35 or 40 from Luka. They need 25 plus from Kyrie, and they need a PJ Washington game where he shoots abnormally well. If it's not PJ Washington, it has to be Derek Lively just catching lobs. And the Celtics aren't allowing that because of their defense, because they're guarding one-on-one. If you can hold Kyrie to 16 and Luka for 32 while not helping, you're going to win almost every time. And the difference, again, between that is JT is getting 2 bodies thrown at him, and he's making the right play, and he's facilitating. The Celtics are daring Kyrie and Luka to beat them by themselves, and it hasn't happened yet.
All right. So now, for sake of argument and for the sake of making this a more interesting show, right? Maybe making it a more interesting series. If Kristaps can't go, like you had some notes on here, Mike, that Kleba can't, he can't cover him. But if Porzingis can't go, does this become does this become a Cornet series? And is that something that the Mavs can exploit?
I don't think it becomes a Cornet series, even though I said it. I think it would before the series started. I think it's more. I think you would see Tillman come in just again because they're not throwing 2 bodies at either of them. So we've seen one lob in the first two games. They doubled Luka, I think in the early in the second half tonight, and he instantly threw a lob and it converted. So I don't think this should be a Cornet series. I think it'd be a Tillman series.
Jake Parker.
I don't think us losing Kristaps for any amount of time would change the outlook on this series. As I said, the Celtics are different this year. They seem pretty focused on just stopping you. They're going to throw the one body, and I think it's going to slow them down, no matter who's on them. They might be able to exploit it a little bit better, but I mean, we're not going to see their center, whether it's Lively or Gafford, go off for 20 plus just because Kristaps isn't playing.
Jake, you agree?
I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, for me, Kristaps isn't the determining factor for this. I just think, like Madison said, the Mavericks are playing way too much through Luka and Kyrie, and we already know the more talented team is the Celtics, so that's not going to work. I'd love to see an adjustment from the Mavericks where they're trying to be a lot more physical and playing a lot more team basketball instead of let's have a hero. And if KP's out, it's going to make it a lot easier for them, especially on the defensive end, because Tatum, Brown, Holiday are going to have to force a lot more. KP ends up the beneficiary of a lot more switches than they do. And that's where he gets a lot of his easy points, especially how efficient he's been. He only played 23 tonight, but 12 is still really efficient in that time slot.
Is there anything specifically? I'll pitch this to Mike first, but anything specifically you think the Mavs can do? I mean, you said Kyrie get more points, for instance. Kyrie's got to get 25. Is there anything specifically, if you're the Mavs, if you're Jason Kidd right now, that you're game planning differently that you saw than what you saw from these first two games?
I just think people have to get more touches on the Mavs. I saw stints tonight where nobody besides Kyrie or Luka really touched the ball for 6 or 7 possessions, and I think it's tough to stay in a rhythm. And I think that's why people were praising PJ Washington earlier in the playoffs, is because he wouldn't touch the ball and he'd just be in the corner three. He'd be in the corner and they'd forget about him and he'd hit a three. Like, that's really tough to do if you have no rhythm whatsoever and you're asked to bail out a possession with 2 seconds to go. So I think if they get everyone else involved, that's the play for them.
Jake, same question. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, they need to force the Celtics to win through Jason Tatum if they're going to have a chance. And I think right now like I said, they're happy to lose by Luka and Kyrie not being good enough to beat this Celtics team. And to me, that's weird. I thought they would make a lot more adjustments. I thought defensively they would let Tatum get to his spots and force him to beat them tonight. Especially if they were going to go Brown's the better player. But again, on defense, it seemed the Celtics obviously are planning for that, but it seemed like on defense they were setting up for Tatum as the best player.
That's a great point. Like, why would kids say that and then not change the defensive approach? Because I mean, you guys tell me if it was any different, but it seemed like the same offensive approach. We're not going to let Tatum beat us. And maybe that was the idea. Get in Tatum's head so he forces some stuff, even though we're giving the defensive attention. Now let's try being in Tatum's head and see if he'll make the wrong play, even though he's mostly single covered, you know what I mean? Instead of drawing all this extra attention. I had the same thought, Jake. That's a great take. I'm glad you said it. Parker, same question. What do the Mavs need to do differently?
Call me crazy, but stop having Luka bring the ball up. I think the way the Pacers made that series is they push the pace. Luka's not a pace guy. Kyrie could be a pace guy. You could ramp up the pace by having Kyrie bring up the ball. He has been known as a ball dominant guard. I think that would throw a little wrinkle. I think that would allow other players to get involved. But Luka is their best player. Like, they live and die by Luka. I just don't see it happening. But I mean, that's one way I would look at it.
Corey, I know, I believe you thought the Mavs would come back tonight, right?
Yeah, I gotta admit.
No. I'm just
I was
wondering
wrong
what you
about
think
that
about
too.
game 3 now. No. What do you think about game 3? That's all.
Without Porzingis, I think that there's a chance that Lively and Gafford, actually have more of an impact than maybe that you guys think. I just and maybe not. Maybe Horford steps up there. He was, he's been good defensively, so maybe he's the guy. And who knows? Maybe Kornet does get some minutes. Maybe Tillman gets some minutes, and they still end up shutting him down. I think the Mavs are going to steal one in Dallas, especially if there's no Kristaps, because I think he has been great. He's been a big part of this series. There was a run there where Kristaps had two, or he almost had two blocks. The second one they called the foul, but it was like a chance for the Mavs to go on a run, and I feel like he's kind of been a run stopper at times. So I think you might start to see like Luka and Kyrie cook at some point in Dallas, maybe. But that being said, I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. I'm going to be a coward and sit on the fence because the Celtics are good on the road. So, but no, I could see this actually end up being a sweep. And honestly, for Celtics fans, I kind of hope it's not. I hope it comes back and they win it in Game 5. But and then you guys can either way. You guys are going to the parade, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Facts, and I'm confident.
All right, guys. Well, anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Celtics got more work to do, and we have more work to do after Game 3. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody, for being here.